everybody. Hello, and happy Friday. And welcome again to another episode of Living in the Miracle. And I'm here, Irina with my dear guest, Jose Salazar. Jose, thank you so much for coming and tell people a little bit about yourself and what you're doing in this world.
Great. Well, thank you, Irina, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and stuff and spend some time with you. Again, like you said, my name is Jose Salazar, and I am the founder of High Performance Coaching and Consulting. And what I do is, work with people that are struggling or looking for a change or do something better, or people that are doing well and just want to improve to the next level on stuff. So I really want to see people be successful in life and succeed, and that's what makes me feel good.
Absolutely. I just love it. So let's dive into living in the miracle, because my mission with this podcast is just to bring that awareness to the people that miracle is always around us, and it's just up to us to start noticing it. When I tell about miracles, what would you consider a miracle for yourself?
Well, that's a great question, but I think one of the biggest miracles that I would say of recent times is my ability to know that there is always growth and room for expansion. And a lot of that stuff is that I teach, but more importantly is that I live it and stuff. So having gone through dealing with a lot of challenges and stuff, the ability to just persevere and go through them. And the way that works is just because, like you mentioned earlier, is my awareness has increased. The way of responding. We're so quick to react to situations instead of responding for them. Because life's going to throw some curveballs at you. You got to be able to respond with them and stuff. So I wanted to be answer specific to your question about a miracle. Now I'll share that. Well, a lot of times this could be looked as a negative, but about 4 years ago, I went through a divorce, and it was challenging and stuff like that. But when I looked at the situation and really analyzed it, it actually was a good decision, and it was good that so my ex-wife and I have a very good relationship right now, as friends, and they're still, we're both parents, we have beautiful kids and stuff, but if it wasn't that I'm living the way I'm living, it would have been totally different. And you see that so many different situations that you don't realize that you rather live miserably and in a bad situation than really looking at it of what's best for you. And sure, you hear a lot, marriage is commitment and lifelong partnership, and this is great, but unfortunately sometimes it doesn't. And there are situations where people end up living miserably together when you realize, okay, it was just not, and sat down. And so there's no regrets, no guilt feelings, no blaming, no nothing, and having the awareness to be able to understand that, because even when I share that with people, they look at me like I'm crazy and stuff. It's like, no, and stuff. So that to me is an example of a miracle, being able to take a challenging situation and realizing that there is some good in it, which goes to the point that in every situation, there's a good in it. You just have to be able to find it and be
Yes.
aware of it.
I totally love your story, and thanks for sharing, because it just brings to the point that there is something good in any bad situation, like you mentioned, but we were not programmed this way. We were not trained to see it this way, right? So what happened in any bad situation, we start frantically getting stressed. We are becoming anxious, and we are just running around like the chicken without the head, trying to really, solve something that if we were actually relaxing at that moment and rather than coming from the energy of negativity, but rather say from the curiosity state and say why this situation was presented to me, right? Just knowing that there is a seed of good in any bad situation, in any adversity, as bad as it might look initially, with the
Absolutely.
time, the things are going to unfold in a way that we realize that these situations were given to us for the reason. But
Absolutely. That's
it
true.
requires the skills, right? That's exactly what we are helping people with,
It
right? It
does. And
requires,
it's interesting because you mentioned about the way we've been programmed and stuff like that. Well, and I share this with because they don't understand. So we always look at right now, we want to have the latest phone, right? The latest computer. We always upgrade the software. Heck, your phone tells you you're going to upgrade, Why do we do that? So that we have, the fastest, the most efficient, you have all these things. But yet we never think about updating our program, our operating system within our head. And we're still thinking the same way that we were programmed initially, because initially our program was done by, people that we were surrounded by, our parents, or people. And these are all well intended people at the time. But as we grow, sometimes we need to change that program. It's almost like if you take a computer and it's still using the old programs, it's going to be slow, it's going to be sluggish, not going to be able to handle that. So everyone wants the greatest in technology, but then when you get to the basics of just how about we update our operating system? That's what I tell people is, it's time to update your operating system. You
yeah.
can reprogram.
I totally love it. I totally love the comparison. It's true. Like we always want to be, run with the innovations in technology. How come we don't want to upgrade our own beliefs, right? The system,
Absolutely.
our operating system, and live a better life, right? And I think
Sure.
it's such a beautiful comparison. And let's just rewind a little bit, going back on your story when you were sharing about the divorce,
Sure.
because for me, as you were sharing, for me, I was like, okay, there is a miracle when we understand that we have to choose ourselves. And
Correct.
this is very miraculous, realization, right? Because again, if we go with the norms of society, okay, divorce is bad, but at the same token, people have to see how they feel in this relationship, right? People have
Correct.
to choose themselves and be very honest about it. And it's not only talking about the relationship, talking about the work, right? Where a lot of people are just, staying and suffering and complaining from year to year, yet they are not ready for the changes because they are too scared to step out of the comfort zone. Because let's face
Correct.
it, nobody wants to deal with the uncertainty. So a lot of people
Right.
stay in the marriages because okay, maybe it's not the best choice, but this is something I'm familiar with, right? They don't
Comfort
want
zone.
to get uncomfortable. Same with the workforce, right? And people want the changes in their lives, yet they do not want to be the leaders in their life because we are so used to hear all that noise around ourselves. So we always run around consulting others before we consult ourselves. So the
That's
idea is let's be the leaders in our life and let's start making the decision for ourselves, not hearing what our mom said or what our partner said or what our friend said or what our boss said, because everybody who is given their advices to us, we all just take it in. And then we become all accumulated with all that unnecessary beliefs that it's not even who we are. So the point
correct.
is just to be aware and understand that I always want to tap into that energy, knowing, is this good for me? Is this something that gives me life? Is this something that brings smile to my face? So before actually listening to everybody around you, always consult yourself and see, because we all have that intuition, we all have that GPS system. So learn how to listen to your heart rather than your head and everybody else around. So that's like the choice that you made to for the divorce. Again, the society looks at the divorce as something negative, but then again, every situation is different. and you have to choose yourself, because it's not good to live in the relationship that doesn't fulfill us, right? And it's not
Right.
good for children to witness that, because then they are raised in the environment where they think this is normal. They don't know exactly what the true love is, because they don't see that dynamic in their parents'
Right.
relationship.
Mhm.
So it's so important not to just go with what the society norms are, but rather consult yourself and figure out what is important for me.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things, it's basically you got to take ownership. Take ownership of your life, and be responsible for it. But you're right. We always are looking to others so that we can get the approval or the permission or the agreement. And all they're doing there is just being able to just um, have a reason to blame later when things don't go well. Because at the end of the day, you get all the suggestions, but you're responsible for your actions. Saying that, well, so and so told me this and so told you that, and what others think, it's what do you think? I mean, other people might not like it, but they're not living your life. You have to live your life. So you have to be able to make the best of it, and that's why when I talk about high performance, you know, high performance, what does that mean? It's so different things for different people, you know. That's the high performing level for one person is probably not going to be the same at another, but as long as individually you're living at your high performance level, living the life that you love, that's what's important, not what anybody else expects. But you're absolutely correct that we're always looking and we want to fit in the norm, and do what everything else. And you want to stay in that comfort zone. You mentioned about people wanting to, afraid of moving, is because it gets them out of their comfort zone. But in order to grow, you have to get out of your comfort zone and stuff. And that's key on that. But so many people unfortunately don't realize that, but it's as complicated as it sounds. It's really not that complicated on that and
Yes,
stuff. So
yes,
yeah,
it's
on that.
simple, but it's
Mhm.
not easy, for sure, for sure.
Right.
So,
Correct.
what other miracles do you consider, like on a daily basis? Because I always say that just the fact that we wake up every morning and are given that gift called life, it's already the miracle. What do you?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you because, to me, every day is a great day. And, sometimes people say, how are you doing today? I said, I'm doing great. And they're like, really? I'm like, absolutely. And it's like, I woke up this morning. Some people didn't wake up. So no matter what happens, I'm gonna be able to enjoy one more day. And I don't know if it's my last day. So I'm gonna make the best of it. And yes, but that again, that's going to that thinking. But
Hmm.
when you start feeling great and you start feeling good, it carries you on through your day. Because if you wake up and you're like, oh, today's just another miserable day at work and got to do all these things, well, you already set yourself up for a miserable day on that. Again, it's getting back to that control. So yeah, a miracle every day is being able to wake up, to be able to know that you can have food on the table, that you're able to do what you want, that the people around you, and all that. So, I mean, that's all a miracle that sometimes we take for granted, and especially sometimes there's so much that we have that we just don't realize everything that's available to us. And then when we don't have it, then we're all upset. Yet there are many people that wish they had a third of what we have on that. So, we're upset because, your car is too old on that, or, or you're not, all these different things that are more materialistic than realizing, there's a bigger picture. Where should I be focusing on? And again, that's increasing the awareness on that. So yeah, if you start living, like I said, living in the miracle every day, that's key. It's an important concept.
Yeah, you attract more miracles, right? Because I always say I just created my affirmations
Right.
each day. Well, I live in miracles, and I attract miracles every day in every way, right? Miracles
Correct.
happen to me every day in every way. And that's exactly how it is, because what we focus our attention on tends to expand, right? If we focus our attention on the problems, we are going to see more problems in our life.
Right.
If we focus
Yeah.
our attention, and it's not just, like toxic positivity, there is the science behind it, right? Because we actually can consciously change the thinking, right? And we can raise our vibrations in order to feel better and in order to experience better things in life.
Right. Absolutely. And it doesn't, sometimes people say, well, Mr. Positivity, or, always positive and stuff. And even the most positive people have bad days. It's going to happen. It's okay. But the thing is, you go through it, you experience it, and you move on. It's when you let an event that happens, starts tearing you down, and you start going down that path. But we're all going to have challenges and stuff. And when you go into that, knowing that, okay, this is something that I'm going to have to deal with, you start preparing yourself, because that increases your awareness and stuff. Because when we have to face with something, no matter what it is, whether it be at work or at home, if we right away put our thinking that I can't do this or this can't happen, and think of all the excuses, what we're really doing is shutting down our brain to be able to come up with a good reason or a good answer. But if you realize, okay, so I have to deal with this, it's not going away. What are some possibilities, ways that I can deal with this situation? And then that opens, your mind. And again, like you referred to, increases your awareness, to be able to do what has to be done. So, the other thing people don't realize, you have the answers within you. You just might not realize them, not aware of them.
Totally. I love it. What comes for me is just the fact that we were programmed. The way that everything what presents to us, we always tend to think why we cannot do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are not trained to think about, okay, this is what I want to do, or this is the issue, or this is the problem. Let me find the solution, right? Or what are the ways that I can approach it to create something more successful, right? Because we were not programmed this way. That's why we are talking about reprogramming our mind, right? Because we want to make sure that we are aware about that capability that we all have, right? And it's all about rewiring our brain, and it's like already proved by scientific researches and everything. And people are changing their lives, no matter at what age, no matter at what stage, no matter of education. Nothing is relevant as long as you have a desire to change.
Absolutely. That is absolutely true. But society sometimes locks us into these expectations, or these what they call norms and stuff. But yes, everybody feels, programming the way they've been and not willing to change. It's almost like, to say the analogy we've been using about computers, every computer that comes out of the box has the same exact programs when they first get them. But everybody adds to them, changes them, stuff like that, modifies it to work for them. It's the same thing that you have to realize, what might work for you and is success for you might not be the best thing for me. So I have to be able to find out what is that for me, not they're doing it, so I should do it and stuff. So, and sometimes you see something that someone's doing and said, oh, this might be a good idea, which is great. And you do the same thing. But as long as you're comfortable with the decision that you made it because you feel this is going to work for you, not just because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
Those are those traps of, the way that we've been programmed and stuff. It's okay to be different.
Totally. And it just comes to the point that there is that miracle that's called self-growth and self-development, that once we tune into that, once we start learning it, we can actually have miraculous results in our life.
Absolutely.
And this
Absolutely.
is,
Yeah.
yes, and this is something that, like a lot of people are not aware. And a lot of people who might be exposed to that, they say, oh, I know this, right? But the idea is if they really knew that, their results would show it, right? But if they are not generating the results that they want in life, that means that that knowledge is not really embodied by them. They do not really know how to apply that all knowledge, right? Because knowledge doesn't equal transformation. It
Correct.
goes
Yeah.
beyond that. And transformation happens with the time, right? Like I always give that example. When you want to learn the new instrument, you have to buy the instrument, you have to put your energy, you have to put your effort, and you have to practice consistently. And
Right.
then you don't expect to be the master of the skill in 3 months, right? It's going to
Correct.
take at least a year for you to really perform on the level that you might desire. So the same thing happens with this kind of work. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes consistency, it takes perseverance, right? And it's
Right.
not that easy to be there on this path by themselves. So that's why it's so important to be with somebody who has gone through that road, right? Has the
Right.
system that they can take you through, that generates the results, and is always there rooting for you, always supporting you, even when you don't feel like this is actually gonna work.
Correct. Yes, and that's an important thing that you mentioned, and you talked about instruments. So professional musicians practice all the time. Why do they practice? They're professionals, right? It's because they want
Mhm.
to get better. They don't want to lose the skills. But yet, when it comes to us in life, we don't want to continue to practice or improve ourselves. And learning is so important. I mean, there are some extremely intelligent, smart people out there that have so many degrees and everything else, but have a hard time living their life, because they're almost too knowledgeable, and life is really simple.
I love this. I love this. And, like we had the discussion on other podcasts where we are saying, like if that was true, that we were always taught that if you work hard, you're going to have a beautiful life, right? But there are so many people who work really, really hard. They have a couple of jobs and they barely make it.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is, if that was true, if there was the like direct correlation of how hard people work versus what they are producing as a result in terms of income and compensation, if that was like really true, everybody, I mean not everybody, but everybody who works hard would be having a great living.
Absolutely, yes, and that's you're correct on that. It's feel like just working hard, and it doesn't have to be hard.
It
I
has to be
always
smart.
tell people, when you're doing something that you really love, it's not work, it's not hard. Are you going to have some challenging situations? Of course you are, and stuff. But that's the reason that we have challenges and failures. They're learning opportunities. See, societies looks at failures as things gone bad. It's like, no, it's a learning opportunity. So you cannot be successful without having failures. There's no one that's been successful without having failures. No, that's just how it works. It's because it's those opportunities where you learn, and that's why people that have not had failures, because some people get by and find ways, but then when they have a failure, it's much difficult because you're not used to it. It's almost like going from high school and then skipping college and then going to try to get a master's degree. You don't have you haven't built up that ability to handle that level of education. It's the same thing. As we get older and more experienced, you handle bigger challenges. And if you're successful, you're going to have bigger challenges. No, but that's a
Totally.
good thing. If you're having those challenges, it's a good thing, not a bad thing. No, but we
Mm-hmm.
got to get comfortable with that. Not, if they happen, but when they happen, and accept it. We talk about a term that you're familiar with called befriending your fears, befriending your enemies. No, instead of trying to fight it, just accept that they're just part of life on that, So
Yes, I
that's
love it. And like all the successful people sometimes look at the success of others and they think that these people are just chosen. But it's like I always say, it's just looking at the same way as you look at the iceberg, right? All
mhm,
we see is just the tip of it, the success, the fame, the money, the lifestyle. But whatever is underneath that water, right? That, sweat, that failure, the setback, a lot of, perseverance, a lot of effort, right? Nobody sees that, but they think
correct,
that these people are just lucky, they are chosen, and obviously they don't consider themselves that they can do something similar.
right,
But the
yeah,
miracle is that everybody can be on that level. But the question is, are you ready for it?
absolutely. Are you ready and are you willing?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
Because
it's available.
yes, it is available. It's easy just to sit and say, you know what, this was not meant for me.
Mhm,
Because like I said, it's always easy to put something that has to be our responsibility on somebody else and say,
right,
I'm living the way I'm living because the economy is not doing good, because there are no jobs out there, because my partner sucks, everything you can blame. And this is the way we were programmed. We
hmm
always look at the outside circumstances, and then we always try to define that this is because of X, Y, and Z. That's why
right.
I am where I am. Not
That's how we
realizing,
justify it. Yeah,
yes, not realizing that you are where you are because you allow yourself to be in that space. And if you
absolutely.
want anything different, if you want like to experience true miracles, right? Just keep your mind open for the possibilities, keep the corner of your mind open and start venturing out, maybe attending the workshop, maybe
Mhm.
like listening more to this kind of podcasts and getting a different idea than you are getting from the news that you're watching.
Right, just the ability to be willing to change because a lot of people look like they want results, but they don't want to change.
Totally.
They say all these things and stuff, but if you want new results, you have to change your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yes.
So, mhm,
So everything starts from our heads. And obviously, if you feel like this life is a miracle, that's exactly where we start from, right? If we look
correct.
at everything as the miracle, right? Even
Mm,
that we are right now at the show, that we have the internet is a miracle. That people can tune it from everywhere in the world. It's a miracle, right? It's just like start counting the blessings and miracles that we have, and you see how much of that you're gonna receive in return rather than focusing on the problem.
couldn't have said it better myself.
That was that was amazing. Thank you so much, Jose. It was a
Oh,
great,
thank
great
you.
episode, and thanks for your wisdom. Thanks for all the shares, and people definitely could contact you. I posted all the links, and like I said, be in charge of your own life. Don't allow the life just happening to you. Make that life happening through you and for you.
Absolutely. And like I always said, you're your only obstacle to your success. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much, Irina.
Thank
Have a great
you.
day. Bye
Have
bye.
a